yeah, we've literally just come back in the door from like 15 minutes ago. It's a 3-hour journey, and luckily we're able to make it back just in time.
Yeah, we're a sort of little bit later leaving because we had a bit of an incident just before we left. So what happened before we left, we wanted to do a video in a sort of the kind of town center where it was a little bit busier. So we started recording. Now, what you have to bear in mind, although Oliver does speak a little bit of Mandarin, I speak less. But in this area, most people don't speak Mandarin. They speak their sort of local dialect, which is Hakkawa or Meizhou. And so we went into the town, and the friends we were with, they started hearing locals sort of getting a bit sort of anxious, and oh, there's some foreigners there, be careful, because obviously in the heads of a lot of Chinese at the moment, they see that China to some extent has got the COVID-19 virus under control, but they don't seem to think that the rest of the world has it under control. And there's probably good reason for that, because they see that the virus is sort of rampant in a lot of foreign countries. But because of that, they're really, really nervous of foreigners. So we start doing our video, walking around. All of a sudden, there's like 6 police around. The car pulls up, 6 or 8 police jump out, and they surround us, and they're quite agitated. They're asking lots of questions to the people who are with us. Obviously, we can't understand at this point what's going on, but they're all surrounded us. Yeah, what do you think, Ollie? What happened then?
Yeah, I was a bit. I just kind of blinked, and then all of a sudden it was all happening. Yeah, we were just walking down the town street, filming a video, just sort of talking about the differences between living in a city and in a rural area. And then this sort of happened, and then they asked us to. We arrived in a car, so they asked us to go back to the car and follow them to the police station. At this point, we weren't really aware what was going on. I had sort of presumptions in my head of whatever, but they did actually turn out to be wrong in the end. It was kind of it's protocol that if you are visiting another city or another area at this time, you do need to let the authorities know when you are going to be leaving.
It's not just at this time, it's any time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So normally, as a foreigner, you don't think about it, because 99% of the time when a foreigner goes to a different area, they check into a hotel. Yeah. And as part of that check-in process, they have your passports, and they record your residency. The reason why hotels have passports is they record your residency with the local authorities.
Right.
Yeah. Now, because we were staying at a friend's house, obviously the friend didn't do that. We are meant to do that. So, if you go to Shanghai and stay in a hotel, as soon as you check into that hotel records with the authorities your residency at that place in Shanghai. And that's the same as if you go anywhere else. But that's not just while the virus is on. That's at any time. And that's why you need your passport.
Right. So,
but obviously, we stayed at a friend's house. We didn't do that. So that was their concern. I suspect what had happened is a number of locals had made a phone call to the police station because they were nervous about seeing foreigners. You got to bear in mind, this area where we were probably doesn't see foreigners really, even when there's no virus about.
Yeah, this is a really rural area, and as well, the sort of, it's probably a presumption, but the highly educated people, most of them will migrate to the cities.
Yeah.
So here you might have a bit of ignorance with the fact that China closed its borders to foreigners sort of 4 weeks ago now, and therefore the likelihood of a foreigner sort of bringing the virus back in now is a lot lower than a lot of people would sort of presume, or sort of have these negative sort of thoughts towards foreigners, even though
I don't think it's negative thoughts. I think it's thoughts that at the moment, sort of the older population in China, the people out of the cities in these areas where they don't see foreigners, from a point of view of the media they get,
Exactly.
is that foreigners are the people at the moment with the carrying the virus, even though that's a perception. The reality is that most of the people coming back into China are Chinese nationals,
right?
Because for the last 4 weeks, foreigners have not been allowed in.
Mm.
But their perception is that foreigners are more dangerous than Chinese people because they're more likely to be carrying the virus. Whereas in reality, that's not the case, because foreigners who are now here have had to be here for at least 4 weeks.
Mm.
But the understanding's still not there by a lot of Chinese people.
Just before I add on to that, thank you very much for the $10 there. Thank you for your donation. I'm sorry I'm not able to read your name. Once I learn better out Mandarin, I'll have no problem with that. Sorry, where were we then?
Just talking about we got taken to the station, and I suspect the initial sort of reaction of the police was based around the virus, but once we got to the police station, they sort of explained to the people with that actually it's, we weren't registered. So actually, when we got there, it was literally a quick 10 minutes. They took our passports, they registered us there. They could clearly see we hadn't just entered China. We'd been there for some time, and pretty much all was wrapped up pretty quickly. And they were sort of saying, look, we don't take this wrong. We're just following our protocol.
Yeah, they were actually really nice in the end.
They gave us water, they offered us tea and everything. And literally within about 10 minutes, we were back on our way once that sort of misunderstanding was cleared up.
And like you said in the car, you said, I'm sure that wouldn't have been as straightforward without the others' help who are Chinese.
Yeah,
so
I think if we'd have been there on our own without our friends who can speak the local dialect, it would have probably been a much more complex situation. But as I say, it was all done. I can completely understand it. It is a little bit of an inconvenience, but not that much. I think the authorities are more understanding than the actual local people. As I said before, what you got to remember is a lot of those local people are quite elderly people. A lot of them can't even speak Mandarin. They have probably, a lot of them haven't been out of their sort of city to bigger cities. So I can understand the sort of nervousness of foreigners coming in when they think that foreigners are carrying the virus.
Yeah, I did.